Cosplay Sanctuary. This is your host, ScottyB. Follow us here on YouTube for weekly videos on cosplay, fandoms, interviews, tips to build your cosplay brand, and of course, always a safe space for you to share your stories and what motivates you to stay active within the community and contribute to our cause to bring cosplayers together in this space. Joining me again this week is the patient and persistent co-host, Astrovoid Cosplay. Hello, Astra. How are you doing?
Hello, Scotty. How are you doing? I am doing great. I'm very excited to be here. And I am very excited for this episode.
All right. Yeah. We are going to talk about thick skin in cosplay, getting thick skin and what that means. And really just, I guess it's kind of like being tough and perhaps not engaging when things come at you online. And I think the knee-jerk reaction for most people is to get upset. Depending on the comments, depending on how the posts do and things like that, reactions and counter reactions to everything that goes on inside of this industry. But really, this isn't necessarily another episode about bullying cosplay or cosplay is not consent, things that we've talked about before on the show, but it's really about where you draw your own line with the things that you put out into the internet and your own behavior and in general within the cosplay universe. Because you often describe that, or you often say that you're kind of a blunt person in general when you're commenting or when you're replying to people who perhaps say unsavory things on the internet. But it really does take some discipline to not engage. Am I right?
For sure. Like, when I first started, I wasn't really used to, I guess, quote unquote, hate comments. So, when everything first started, by the way, I have the hiccups today.
Oh
so
yeah, how are your hiccups?
Thank you. So yeah, today's gonna be very interesting because I have the hiccups, which means this episode is gonna be very funny. So we'll see how that goes. That'll be a long running joke. So I could play a drinking game. Every time I hiccup, you take a shot. So as I was saying, right, when I first started, I wasn't used to hate comments, as you would say. So I never really knew how to deal with them, I guess, because, in-person bullying and online is completely different. So I used to reply to every single thing, and I would be like, very, don't do that, don't do this, and I got to the point where I realized, if it's just some random dude saying something, for example, like I had a guy comment on my Black Canary, and he was like, your thighs are too small, you need to do more squats. And, at the time I was really pissed about it and I went off because, a lot of reasons. But, as I've grown in the community and as I've grown up, I guess, as a person as well, I've kind of come to terms with the fact that, like, I can't fight every single battle. And there's just going to be some people who do that. If you look at, like, big celebrities and all of their comments, you'll see so many that are just ridiculous. It's the same thing over and over again. And it's just like, oh, fat, whatever, this. And it's like, okay. And, like, that's kind of become my attitude. Just, okay. And, or it's become, the mean girls thing of, why are you so obsessed with me? Like, I always try to turn things into jokes now because I feel like it's more fun. I've drawn the line at, unless it's something extremely harmful or unless it's something that's, racist, sexist, those types of big lines, I usually won't touch it anymore. I'll just delete it, move on with my life. Because we love hiccups. I found, thanks. I have found that the more you respond to certain people, the more they'll keep going because that's what they want.
Yeah, so it's ammunition for them. It gives them, it reinforces what they're out online doing, or trying to impress their friends with, or something like that. They could get to somebody, and it's really it's hard not to, especially if your personality, you're someone who likes to call people out of things, or that you feel that you're just more of an assertive person.
Right.
Whereas, and I don't know, I think that I've been relatively fortunate. I think I've mentioned this before. It's fairly fortunate that Heroes is a neutral place. We don't call people out on this show. We assess behavior. I mean, there's definitely a lot of examples in the cosplay community. There are a lot of things that say, okay, well, here's another instance, but I don't really on either side of that. If you want to give me constructive criticism, that's totally fine. But it's usually not that. It's usually, like you said, just like some sort of random observation that someone who does not know you is making, and probably says the same thing to anyone, no matter what. Like, if I'm going to be honest, like the standards for people on the internet is they set a pretty high bar for everyone else and perhaps not for themselves. And I think that there's a lot that you can maybe learn about yourself from things like this. I encourage people to maybe look more inward on anything that they may say to other people. Think before you comment, before you hit that post button. Read your sentence over a few times and go, is this really something that I should say to another human being? Because
Right.
I think we like to try and stay anonymous behind our phones. And I think we've been finding out more and more as time's going on that you're really not as anonymous as you think. There are a lot of, people who know what's going on. Like, it's just it's a different world than what it was what we used to be in. This post-COVID sort of people really are online a lot more. I think we engage with each other without any contact whatsoever a lot more than we ever had. And I think that we really need to, let's say, rage culture, for example. You really have to stay away from that. Like, don't engage with a culture of just getting upset with everything that everyone says. Like, yeah, people are going to send you mean tweets. If you have a job and you go to work every day, I'm sure you've gotten an email that's been kind of nasty. It just happens. So this isn't really too much different from that. It's just how you process that. And it's not always easy. It's definitely not easy to be able to face some of this stuff. It can lead you to things that we're probably going to talk about in future episodes about not being worthy and things like this. But really, if you have to call somebody out, and you have to give a hater the attention that they want, you don't have to necessarily go go down to their level on that. You don't have to be nasty back to people. If you really want to, if you want to comment. Again, I don't have a ton of instances where I do this, but like I said, the show and myself, we stay fairly neutral about things that we talk about online. And, we really value the opinions both of, people in general out in the community and people who come on the show. I'm not here to assassinate characters or anything like that. I don't think there's really there's really not much to be gained from anything like that.
No, I mean, I was raised to have, I guess, thick skin. I was raised to stand up for myself and to fight back. I was raised to not take any shiz from anyone. So, when people want to act like a fool and think they can get away with it, oftentimes, I'll screenshot it, I'll post it to my stories, and I'll make a joke about it. Like, if you want to act like a clown, then join the circus. Like, here you go. Here's what you wanted to be seen so badly, so here you go. And that tends to get people to shut up really fast. So because it's people don't expect you to call them out. And in my personal opinion, for me, I've dealt with sexual messages and gross messages, death threats. So it's like, if you want to send that to me thinking that it's going to be private, if you have the balls to send that to me, then you should have the courage to know that it's going to be posted somewhere. If you couldn't say that to your grandmother or around your grandmother, I wouldn't send it or say it anywhere anyway. Like that's my logic, that's my theory, right? I mean, then again, that doesn't really work. So my grandmother is a wonderful woman. My Nana I know I have thick skin from her. We'll just go with that. And I think she would approve of a lot of the things that I say.
My grandparents, I mean, not only would they just not understand why any of this is really even, he's like, so you're telling me that there are a bunch of people who dress up like characters from comic books? I think just like wrapping their head around why any of this is happening at all would be the first trick. But then, yeah, I don't think that they would be they would look at some of this, and the kind of stuff that they would say back would probably be a lot harsher.
Yeah, for
than,
sure.
than
Well, that
any of
was
the
my
comments.
point. You know, my Nana really didn't take much. You know, like she, I mean, not to get too off topic, but I guess this kind of goes with it because it does go with thick skin. You know, my favorite story. Okay, let's be quick. Promise. Is when she was in elementary school and her dad drove the buses, right? So when she had to leave, that way she could, you know, get on the bus and not be in trouble. And the bus came and she had to go. And she went to leave and the teacher told her she couldn't. And she was like, my dad is driving, so I have to go. And the teacher grabs her by her pigtails because she had two pigtails and she grabs her on the pigtails. And my Nana says, if you don't let me go, I'm going to punch you in the stomach. And the teacher didn't. So my Nana punched her in the stomach. So she did what she said she was going to do. And it's probably my favorite story ever because my Nana just sounds like an absolute badass. But yeah, no, that I feel like she would agree with a lot of the things that I say and stand up for. And you know, she also sees what I do, and I think it's very cool that she loves what I do. I think it means a lot to me, but you know, I'm very fortunate in that regard. But yeah, thick skin is something that doesn't necessarily come easy. And I also I wouldn't say that thick skin is only about, you know, ignoring it either. I feel like there's different types of thick skin, because you can you know, be like, look at this idiot, and also not let it get to you. That's technically my motto is, you know, if you're going to act like a fool, I'm going to put you on blast joking about you. You're not going to get to me, but I will let everybody know that you are a clown. If you think that you're safe sending people gross messages, you're not. Because I feel like people get away with too much, and I feel like people have this sort of, I guess, entitlement attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, you know, and then I love when you do that and they go, how could you do that? Why would you post that? It's like, well, why would you send that to someone in the first place? You know, if you're not comfortable with people knowing that about you, why would you be like that? It's weird.
If it's online,
it never goes away.
Can get screenshot, you know, pretty easily. So
that's the thing. If you post something, you know, whether it's a post or a comment or whatever, that never goes away, even if you delete it. So just like keep that in mind, you know, like when you're going off about something in your future, that's what's going to be out there. Yes. You know, it's
think forward. I guess that's good advice, especially for folks who do. And I would guess that there probably aren't too many people watching and listening who would fall into the category of, oh yeah, I really have sent a lot of like bad things to people. I should probably reassess this. But I guess it does reinforce the behavior for people who are new to the community, or people who are kind of getting into that comparison trap, because you can get frustrated, and the more frustration it builds, and then you start to latch out, or you start to gossip with people online and start talking about them behind their backs, and it becomes very sophomoric very quick. I would discourage that. I guess the moral of the story, and to wrap everything up, would really be just to focus on the good, just to build people up, be constructive. If you have notes and you have the experience to give them, just do it in a way that is not just horrifyingly rude.
And mean, right?
You'll be fine.
And that's the other thing too, is that, like, you know, I've said this before, but to word it, I guess, better, there's different ways of quote unquote calling someone out, you know, and with looking forward to the future for an employer or for just life in general, if they're going to see that, you know, I would rather defend, yeah, this dude sent me a weird message and I made a joke about it, make sure everyone knew that this dude was weird, right? versus, oh, she's a this and she's a that and she did this and this and this and that, you know, because that looks catty, that looks not classy, versus this where it's just is what it is. It's just a shrug. It's literally just a whatever, man, you know. There's different, I think, attitudes towards it. I think that your disposition and your attitude towards it really makes the difference, as of what I've learned at least. So that's my best advice. If you're a lot like me, and you do that stuff anyway, just kind of redirect it, you know, because if you just fire negative things at more negative, if you fire negatively at negative things, it's only going to end negatively. But if you take something negative and you turn it into humor, or you try to turn it into something that's gonna, you know, make someone laugh, right? Or just kind of be a little bit more positive, then overall, you know, that's a better thing than this other option.
And there we are at the end of the episode, everyone. Thank you so much again for being here with us. It means a lot. Be sure to share the video out, comment, and subscribe to the channel. This is ScottyB and Astrovoid Cosplay with the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. We will see you next week.